Appearances have always been humanity's favorite shield. A polished surface designed to distract from the truth. Hiding underneath. Welcome to emotional shadow. Nowhere is this more visible and more dangerous than inside relationships. We often believe that couples who look stable must be stable, that people who smile together must be genuinely connected, and that harmony we witness from the outside automatically reflects peace on the inside. But the real mystery, the one very few people dare to confront, is that appearances can become weapons used to hide emotional warfare, silent resentments, power imbalances, and the slow corrosion of trust. What people show publicly is often the exact opposite of what they battle privately. And the biggest question is, why do so many relationships fight harder to protect the appearance of love than the experience of it? The roots of this illusion go back much further than modern social media. Throughout history, people have been conditioned to maintain a facade. From Victorian expectations of perfect marriages to mid-20th century family ideals, where emotional conflict was treated as a personal failure. Psychologists like Carl Rogers and Irving Goffman pointed out decades ago that humans construct presented selves, tailored to earn approval instead of reflecting reality. These ideas formed a blueprint for relational deception. Not necessarily malicious, but deeply ingrained. Couples learned that showing struggle meant weakness, that admitting emotional needs meant vulnerability, and that revealing tension invited judgment. The twist, the one people rarely acknowledge, is that this performance eventually becomes the relationship itself. The appearance replaces the bond, the script replaces the truth, and the couple begins acting for the world instead of communicating with each other. The origins of this issue, strangely enough, lie in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of being misunderstood, fear of losing the partner, and fear of social embarrassment. When these fears take root early in a relationship, people begin protecting their image instead of strengthening their connection. A partner hides insecurities to appear confident. Another pretends everything is fine rather than risking conflict. Small lies turn into practiced patterns. Emotional withholding starts to feel safer than honesty. Over time, the relationship becomes split into two versions: the one that exists publicly and the one that quietly suffocates behind closed doors. As these patterns rise, the impact becomes unavoidable. Communication weakens because truth feels dangerous. Resentment grows because concerns remain unsaid. Emotional needs go unmet because neither partner wants to admit they have them. The relationship develops an invisible pressure, the pressure to maintain the illusion. Couples start comparing themselves to their own curated image. They feel obligated to look happy at dinners, show harmony on social media, and insist everything is fine when friends ask. All the while, micro-conflicts build beneath the surface. Trust erodes slowly, not through dramatic betrayal, but through continuous avoidance. What appears calm is often the quiet before a storm. Eventually, breaking points emerge. Sometimes it's a small argument that spirals unexpectedly because it carries months of unexpressed emotions. Sometimes it's silence that becomes unbearable, when neither partner knows how to speak without fear. Sometimes it's jealousy, defensiveness, or sudden emotional distance that signals something deeper has been ignored. The fallout can be dramatic or subtle, but it always follows the same path. A relationship built on appearance cannot sustain real emotional weight. When partners sacrifice genuine connection for public comfort, they create an internal fracture that grows with every avoided conversation. The consequences on emotional intimacy are profound. Intimacy can only survive where vulnerability is welcomed. But the appearance-driven relationship treats vulnerability as a threat. Partners stop sharing their fears, desires, or frustrations. They become performers instead of companions. Emotional safety disappears, replaced by suspicion and self-protection. Even affection becomes mechanical, offered to maintain the illusion rather than express real closeness. Over time, people in these relationships begin to feel alone, despite being together. Isolated in a partnership that looks perfect from the outside but feels empty from the inside. Attempts to fix these problems often fail because couples try to repair the surface instead of the core. They take vacations, post happier pictures, buy gifts, or force positive conversations, but these fixes only reinforce the illusion. They treat symptoms while ignoring the root cause: the inability to be emotionally honest. Some partners blame stress, timing, or external pressures. Others tell themselves the relationship is not that bad. But without confronting the emotional truth, every fix becomes temporary. The relationship returns to its old patterns, often with more tension than before. Modern relationship dynamics make this even more complex. Social media creates constant comparison, rewarding couples for perfection and punishing them for authenticity. Studies show that couples who frequently post idealized content often experience more internal conflict than those who don't. Texting culture encourages rapid responses, but shallow communication. People manipulate conversations with subtle, tactic silent treatment. Selective wording, delayed replies, exaggerated positivity to control how they are perceived. These modern habits amplify old patterns, turning relationships into curated narratives rather than genuine interactions. The repetition of these patterns across generations reveals a troubling truth. Communication breakdowns often follow predictable loops. One partner avoids expressing a need. The other senses distance, but doesn't ask why. Both retreat into self-protection. Misunderstandings multiply. Emotional lies not necessarily spoken, but performed become routine, and the relationship loses the depth it once had, not through dramatic conflict, but through slow emotional starvation. In today's world, where appearance is a currency and validation is addictive, the war within relationships is often invisible. People fight battles no one sees. Battles to be understood, battles to be heard, battles to be emotionally safe. And the deepest secret is that most couples lose these battles, not because they lack love, but because they lack truth. Love can survive flaws, arguments, mistakes, and vulnerability, but it cannot survive being replaced by performance. The first takeaway is that real connection demands emotional honesty, even when it threatens the image you want to present. Protecting the appearance of your relationship will eventually destroy the relationship itself. The second takeaway is that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a requirement for intimacy. Without it, partners remain strangers, acting out a script. The third takeaway is that communication must go beyond words. It must include emotional transparency, active listening, and the willingness to acknowledge uncomfortable truths. The fragility of trust and love lies in their dependence on honesty. Once truth is replaced by performance, love becomes uncertain and trust becomes unstable. Relationships collapse, not because people stop caring, but because they stop revealing. The question every viewer must ask themselves is simple. Are you protecting your relationship, or just protecting its image? If you found these insights important, if they challenge the way you see relationships, or open your eyes to hidden patterns, make sure to stay connected with this channel. Your support helps bring more content that uncovers the psychology behind love, communication, and emotional dynamics. Like, share, and subscribe if you want to understand relationships at a deeper level and protect your own from the hidden sabotage that appearances can create.